Live from our studios here at Kokode-Nwamase in Accra, this is JoyNewsPrime with me, Clinton Yeboah. In our headlines, active group FixTheCountry have begun a two-day vigil to end galamsey in Accra to intensify calls on the government to take decisive decisions to end illegal mining. Meanwhile, the DNC's Mustafa Gbande is trying to convince the protesters to leave and rather meet with the government on their demands.
Please leave us alone. The first thing you see in the media is that Mr. Mustafa Gbande is addressing the protesters.
Health alert: poisoned contumely and fish found in galamsey areas as EPA report confirmed dangerous heavy metal contamination in Ghanaian food crops and water sources. Dormitory crisis hit Huni Valley Senior High School as female students face overcrowding. School authorities appeal for urgent support to address infrastructure gaps.
In my school, for instance, we have a total population of 1,711. Out of that, we have 1,205 being girls alone. And so it puts an enormous pressure on the infrastructure for girls.
Our news is live on DSTV channel 2421, GoTV channel 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please stay. To begin our very first story, the activist group FixTheCountry has begun a two-day vigil in Accra to intensify calls for an end to illegal mining. The vigil, which is currently underway, coincides with Ghana's annual Founders' Day celebrations. Organizers say the vigil will serve as a moment of reflection on the environmental distractions caused by illegal mining and its far-reaching impact on water bodies, farmlands and livelihoods. The campaign will conclude on September 22, which is observed as Nkrumah Memorial Day, with a public march through parts of the capital. Let's cross over to my colleague on the ground, Kweku Asante. Kweku, if you can hear me, what can you report?
Hear you.
Yeah, Kweku, you're on the ground. What exactly can you report?
Well, it's quite noisy here, and I hope you can hear me. You see behind me a number of protesters who have gathered right opposite the Jubilee House, which is just across the street, and they are protesting today to demand an end to galamsey. They say so far they haven't seen the seriousness that the government should do when it comes to illegal mining, and that is why they have gathered right here across the street to demand that the government does something more to end the illegal mining scourge. They say the government, despite being just 8 or 9 months in office, ought to show that they are quite committed to the fight against galamsey, and that they are disappointed about the president's poster about a state of emergency, and the president is not showing the seriousness that they believe should happen when it comes to this. And so that is why speakers after speaker is talking about how there is a need to declare a state of emergency. There is a need to push strongly against illegal mining. So, Clinton, if you come right across the Jubilee House, a number of protesters, not a lot of them, just a little under 100, but I say despite their numbers being very small, they want to let their voices be heard, and they want to speak with unison that they demand an end to galamsey immediately.
All right, Kweku, thank you very much. We'll come to you as and when anything else drops. Now, peaceful assembly is a constitutional right and should be protected. Ghana's laws and human rights organizations like Amnesty International have on several occasions called on police and courts to respect the rights and not only limit it to where strictly necessary and proportionately unlawful. Now, but to what extent have these calls been heeded to? Who is enforcing the protection of the protesters and the protest? Watch excerpt of our latest Hotline documentary airing on Monday, September 22.
Ghana police is breaking the law and denying us our right of simple movement.
If you look at our history, both what survives of the long pre-colonial period Even before the establishment of former colonial rule, women were always there in the positive action campaign. Some women went to prison, and yet the way we teach our history, we don't bring these things out at all.
I participated in a protest by women seeking protection during a period when there was a serial killer.
I was frustrated because the lights were constantly off all the time. I remember one evening I went on Twitter and I tweeted, "Dumsor must stop."
They ripped my dresser pass and I'm on TV in my bra.
The position of the protester might one day become the norm.
Please make a date with us on our latest Hotline documentary as we stress this call and hear from key social activists on what we call the Protect the Protest. This piece was originally produced by Amnesty International Ghana. Now, doing other stories, Ghana cannot afford to delay the urgent need for stricter regulation of artisan mining, improved environmental intelligence, and direct community health interventions, as the citizenry remains exposed to a cocktail of toxic metals. This is the urgent call as a new assessment by the Environmental Protection Agency, working with the British Council and environmental NGO Pure Earth, uncovers dangerous levels of heavy metal contamination in parts of Ghana linked to artisan and small-scale gold mining. The research conducted between November 2024 and March 2025 sampled soil, water, air and fish and food crops such as contumely across 11 sites in 6 regions, including Ashanti, Western North, Central, Eastern and Savannah. There's more in the following report.
Findings revealed mercury levels at Konongo-Zongo in the Ashanti region exceeded safety guidelines by more than 560%, while other mining areas like Konongo-Zongo and Pristia also recorded worrying levels. Arsenic contamination was widespread, particularly in water and fish samples, while cadmium levels were low but still pose long-term risk. Lead levels were mostly below guideline limits, but dangerous spikes were detected in communities like Nkrumah. Experts warn the pollution threatens public health, with children and pregnant women most at risk. Mercury and lead exposure can impair brain development, while arsenic and cadmium carry severe health consequences. The report recommends capacity building for local environmental offices, better public access to environmental data, and the creation of an open access database to improve monitoring and response.
Now, following the release of secondary school placement for the 2025 BEC candidates, Huni Valley Senior High in the Western region is raising concerns over inadequate dormitory space for its female students. Authorities are appealing for support to ease the pressure. There is more in the following report.
Just days after the Ghana Education Service released school placements for students who sat the 2025 BECE, Huni Valley Senior High School is lamenting infrastructure challenges. At the launch of the school's 50th anniversary, Headmaster Daniel Edu explained that inadequate female accommodation has become a major concern, with over 70% of the school's population being girls.
Girls' dormitory. You know now the girls are increasing in almost all the secondary schools in the region, the Western region. In my school, for instance, we have the total population of 1,711. Out of that, we have 1,205 being girls alone. And so it puts an enormous pressure on the infrastructure for girls.
He added that the lack of furniture is also affecting the school's ability to enroll students to its full capacity.
We also need classroom furniture. In fact, we have been told that we can move to Senget-Frack. So we are one of the 99 schools that are supposed to move to Senget-Frack this year. And so we hopefully to get about 1,000 furniture so that we'll be able to accommodate. In fact, the classroom, we have 42 classrooms. And so if you make average of 50 to a class, then we should have a capacity to admit about 2,100 students. But because of furniture, we are not able to do that.
President of the Huni Valley Old Students Association, Kofiahi, noted that while the alumni have been providing support, fencing the school remains a challenge.
Currently, what is most important to us is the fence wall. You know, the whole school has no fence wall. One, there is encroachment, people are encroaching, and when you even venture to confront them, one day they were telling the headmaster that you came to teach and not to come and fight on land. So go and teach and go your way. You know, we can't do it alone. So we are soliciting funds from people amongst the old students, from corporations and other partners that are prepared to help us to provide such facilities to them.
Everyone needs a budget. That's the message given to final year students at St. Monica's College of Education in Mampong. The students are being prepared for life after school with lessons in financial management. Mahmoud Mohammed has more in the following report.
For many students, graduation is a big step into the real world, but with that step comes the challenge of managing money. At St. Monica's College of Education, final year students are being introduced to budgeting, a tool to help them balance income, savings, and expenses. Finance Officer Isaac Osei-Kwating told the students that monitoring where money goes helps to identify needs, wants, and long-term goals.
Having gotten their first paycheck, how they can maneuver or meander their way through so that they can be financially independent. But if they're able to get some of these things, orientation earlier, it really helps them so that they will know at the end of the day what is expected of them.
Students were also taught the 50-30-20 rule, where 50% of income goes to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings or debt.
So we're telling them that because of inflations and other issues, when you save, it will just be wiped up. So we're telling them to develop some investment culture where there will be a fixed amount being deducted. So they can instruct their bankers to do what we call automatic deduction, which is direct debit.
So initially, I used to spend without a budget. I used to spend without thinking about what to use some of the money for. But with today's lesson on the 50-30-20 strategy, I've learned to prioritize my needs, and then I have learned to save some.
Initially, I didn't know much about networking, but now I've got to know the importance of networking, how to connect with people, and how it will help me in the nearby future.
The seminar also touches on topics like marriage and career opportunities, reminding students that beyond the lecture hall, financial literacy and planning are key to survival. A report by Mohamed Nuruddin.
That was Mahmoud Nuruddin's report. Today, Ghana pauses to honor the life and legacy of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the nation's first president and the visionary leader who led the country to independence in 1957. Here is a report put together for you.
Born on September 21, 1909 at Nkrumah in the Western region, Nkrumah rose from humble beginnings to become the face of Ghana's struggle for freedom and the symbol of African liberation. His rallying cry of forward ever, backwards never continues to echo across generations.
Colonialism and imperialism may come to us yet in a different guise, not necessarily from Europe. We must alert ourselves to be able to recognize this.
Dr. Nkrumah's bold leadership gave birth to Africa's first independent nation south of the Sahara, and his dream for a united continent inspired movements for freedom across Africa and beyond. Across the country today, Ghanaians are reflecting on his enduring legacy, from his investments in education, infrastructure, and industrialization to his unyielding belief in the power of the African identity.
Ghana is a small but very dynamic, independent African state. We are trying to reconstruct our economy and to build a new, free, and equal society. To do this, we must attain control of our own economic and political destinies.
As the nation marks Nkrumah's Memorial Day, his words remain ever relevant, that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked with the total liberation of Africa.
Today, from now on, there is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that, after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
Today, we celebrate not just the man, but the vision, a vision that continues to shape our journey as a people and as a continent. A happy coming Nkrumah Memorial Day.
Our independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with total liberation of the African continent.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll bring you more. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching the Joy News Prime. As part of World Cleanup Day celebration, Landfills 2 Landmarks, in partnership with the Ghana Used Clothing Dealership Association, has launched a recycling initiative at Kantamanto Market aimed at turning textile waste into opportunities for a cleaner environment. There's more in this report.
Cleanup Day, observed globally every September 20th, is a social action program aimed at addressing the crisis of mismanaged waste. In Accra, the Ghana Used Clothing Dealers Association partnered with Landfills 2 Landmarks and other organizations to mark the day. Under the initiative, waste generated from used clothing sales will be collected and purchased for recycling. Co-founder of Landfills 2 Landmarks, Samuel Ofori-Jampo, highlighted how the initiative will contribute to a cleaner environment.
We believe that this is a long-lasting solution where we will use this system to continuously keep our market clean and, most importantly, sustain the livelihood of the trade, because the data that we'll collect from this exercise will help us to improve the processes. It will help the importers also shape the kind of things that they import into the country. So it's a shared responsibility from the sources of the clothing, where we call on the brands, the producers, the charity organization, the collectors across the world, with the importers also coming together to making sure that the reuse trade, it's more sustainable, and we're able to define exit pathways for the items that we are not able to reuse by way of upcycling, recycling initiatives.
Director of Sanitation at Kantamanto Market, Chief Godwin Uche, welcomed the partnership and encouraged used clothing traders to actively participate.
We all know we spend more hours in this our working environment than the hours we spend in our homes out of the 24 hours of the day. So I plead with all of us here, our Kantamanto chairman, to send the message across that we are doing this for them, we are doing this for us all, but they are the people that will carry it on more. If they fail to release the last grade of the items to us, we will not be able to get it.
Executive member of the Ghana Used Clothing Dealers Association, Marvin Owusu, reiterated plans to promote recycling within the textile industry.
We are not just going to be at the forefront of reuse and upcycling, we're also going to have a good foothold when it comes to recycling as well. What we are doing is that we want to be at the forefront of textile circularity, textile sustainability. Is what we've been advocating for so long now, and we want to hit the ground running with these stakeholders and these partners. We want to be at the forefront of textile circularity, textile sustainability, and we believe that this partnership and this initiative is going to go a long way, because we want to be a beacon for other countries in the global south to also emulate.
The initiative is jointly led by the Ghana Used Clothing Dealers Association, Landfills to Landmarks, and Environ Waste, with support from partner organizations.
The Setre East District in the Ashanti region has made progress in family planning. The district's performance has jumped from 32% in 2024 to nearly 41% in the first half of this year. Health officers say this is good news for women's health and economic empowerment. Mahmoud Mohammed has more.
Family planning in Setra East District is on the rise. Figures from the District Health Directorate show an increase from 32% last year to 40.98% in just the first half of 2025. District Health Director Dr. Justice Ofori-Amoah says more women are now embracing family planning as a way to take control of their reproductive health.
So if you look at the performance of the district in 2023, the district performed 31.5%, January to December 2023. Then if you look at 2024, January to December, the district was able to make some quite significant achievement, not much, 32%. However, today, half year, January to June, as we sit to take account of all that has been done, as of January to June 2025, significantly, we have performed 40.98%.
He also explained that spacing births gives women time to recover, improves health outcomes, and allows them to pursue economic opportunities.
All is to give women the opportunity to space their births, to prevent any unwanted pregnancy, and go about their normal duties as expected.
Officials believe sustaining this progress will empower women, strengthen households, and promote healthier communities.
We encourage them to maintain this so that they can go about their normal duties, have babies when they want to have, not by accident.
The district is setting an example of how health and development go hand in hand. A report by Mohamed Nuruddin.
That'll be all for the news. For more stories, log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Clinton Yeboah. Have a good evening.